What is up, everybody? This is Shawn Truthman, and we're broadcasting to you live from our channel, Truthman and Company Network. And today is our inaugural video where I'm actually going to walk you through some of the characters that we have been producing and the content lately in WWE Universe mode over here at WWE 2K18. So I'm going to walk you through it a little bit here. I'm going to take you to the creation suite so we can introduce you to the 6 characters that we have been chronicling in season 2 of 2K Universe. So we're going to head over here, and in the past we've actually used one character, and that character, obviously, as most of you know from the previous videos, is Zero's Ward, and his journey through the My Career mode last year on 2K17, you know, with the United States Championship and Sami Zayn and that great feud. And so this year I wanted to do something a little bit different and chronicle the journey of 6 competitors instead of 1. And the best part about doing a multiple chronicle, or should I say a multiple superstar chronicle, is so many different developments can happen at the same time, and I just think it adds a different type of flavor to what you're trying to achieve, which is to tell great stories, play video games, and have a lot of fun. We're going to start with Bishop Bannon, and you're going to see some characters who are actually not featured in season 2 this season, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for right now, we're going to start with Bishop Bannon. All right, this is Bishop Bannon, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory behind this character. First of all, he's a heavyweight. He's 6'4". He's 245, and he's actually from Brisbane, Australia. And the guy is an absolute monster jackhouse, but he's actually the arch enemy of Zero's Ward. Now, this whole thing was happening in exhibition mode when I would use these characters, you know, playing with my son, playing with friends, and, you know, I just created him because I wanted somebody to come back at Zero's with just like, you know, really heelish tactics and things of that nature. And so that's how the inception of this character came to be. And when I was formulating on paper how I wanted things to work out in universe mode, I wanted to use him in a way that I hadn't used him before. So I wanted him to basically show up on Raw as basically a nobody. Nobody knows who he is except Zero's Ward, and they're out to, you know, achieve 2 different goals. Obviously, Bishop is out to prove that he is the #1 guy, and obviously in the future he's going to challenge for a championship goal. But for right now, grudge matches, grudge matches, grudge matches. I always say that when I talk about him, because he's just such an interesting character. He's such an interesting character. So as you can see from the attire, he's got a tattoo on his back. I think that's like a Chinese dragon, and we used the image of a mermaid on the back. I thought that would be really interesting, as Bishop Bannon's father was actually a sailor who was also in the Australian military. And he got into pro wrestling about the same time that Zero's Ward did. They attended the same wrestling school in Australia. And that's how that story came to be. And this is what he looks like. And for those of you who have actually watched some of the content on the channel and you've watched his matches, you notice that that right hand is covered with a very sleek leather glove, and it's actually tied with some bandanas, and it's kind of a signature of his. It's a very, what I call, powerful sleeper finisher, where he actually covers the nose and the mouth and he suffocates the opponent into submission. I just thought that would be really, really cool for him. And the guy is just, he's awesome. I like to use him. And this is Bishop Bannon, and we're going to move on to the next character. Also want to take this time in between the switch to thank you for your viewership and your subscriptions. Please keep them coming. We here at Truthman and Company Network value your comments, your questions, and we're going to try to continue to bring you awesome content, especially in universe mode here. There's a lot of different feuds that have concluded with Money in the Bank, and we're going to be actually creating these videos and shooting these talk casts, so to speak, every 3 months in universe mode. So every 3 pay-per-views, we're going to do a chronicle of what has happened from the last 3 months of the season, and it's just going to be awesome. So look for those videos to come out very, very soon. So the next character that we're going to talk about is Bison Youngblood. Very, very interesting story behind this character, because initially when I created him, it was not on WWE 2K18. It was not. He was actually a draft character. He did not look like this. I just want to say that. He didn't look like this. He was a draft character on WWE 2K17 on my son's Xbox One. And I was just playing around in the creation suite, and he was really, really dark, and he was really tall, and I just couldn't figure out what to do with him. And, you know, when I finally did pick up WWE 2K18, it took me a while to get to it, because I was having a lot of fun, as most of you know, producing some of that awesome content where we were chronicling Zero's War journey through the My Career mode in 2K17. So I left the draft on my son's Xbox One. I never touched it again. And then when I got 2K18, Bison was actually, if I'm not mistaken, the 4th character that I made. I took all the stats, and I took all of the character numbers from my son's Xbox One. I brought it over here, and then I just started like carving this character out of wood. The end result made me extremely proud. One of the reasons why I wanted a Native American powerhouse / technical wrestler was because of my own family ancestry, and of course too, one of my favorite WWE superstars of all time was Tatanka. Really appreciated his in-ring work and that Native American presence in professional wrestling. It was just such an awesome thing. And the backstory behind Bison Youngblood: first of all, the guy he's jacked, 6'6", 350 pounds, and he's from Chesapeake, Virginia, and he actually went and attended Tatanka's wrestling school, and he got picked up by yours truly, the general manager of Raw and SmackDown, Shawn Truthman, and he's been on a roll ever since. If you've been keeping up with the last 3 pay-per-views and the Raws and the SmackDowns that we've been putting up here on the channel, Youngblood has had quite a meteoric rise to the top. And I sincerely hope that you're able to go back and watch some of that content, because this character is on his way to tell some awesome stories. And as you can see, the attire here for pay-per-views is your basic war black, war red, the face paint, and the multicolor boots. I really, really like characters to have symmetry, but I also like them to have coordination with colors. And my favorite material to use when I create my characters is actually leather. But in this case, obviously, it's cloth because of the cloth here that Youngblood has on the front of his torso. So that is the backstory behind Bison Youngblood, and look out, like I said before, look out for his feud with Braun Strowman to continue for the WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship. I'm really excited to see where this goes, and we're going to move on to the next character. This takes longer than it should sometimes. It's kind of annoying. But we're going to move on to the next character and talk about the origins of where some of these people come from, because I must tell you that some of these characters, I mean, I've had them a long, long, long time. I mean, this is WWE 2K18, but I've been creating characters as early as SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, SmackDown, just very, very early in the SmackDown franchise. I've been creating characters a long time. And so the concept behind some of these characters is actually not new. It's actually just the platform wasn't there to present them to you. So Hannibal Matsuda, I'm going to do him really, really quick just because I think he's one of the coolest characters that we have and that I've ever created. And my son actually inspired this character. He has no idea. He did. He inspired this character. Let's talk about it for a second here. He's 6'3". He's 300 pounds, and he is from Dodoma, Tanzania. So let's talk a little bit about this. As you can see, he's got the Japanese writing on his arms, inked into his arms. He's got that dragon tattooed on his back. He's got the gray hair going. The guy's physique is incredible, and obviously, as I've told you before, my favorite material to create with is leather. As you can see, the Hannibal Matsuda writing on his attire, and the Reaper on the back of his right leg here. And he's just awesome. And so when I finished this character, there were no moves, there was no plan, there was like no backstory at all for this character. He just had a look, and he didn't look like this. For those of you who have been keeping up with Season 2 of WWE 2K Universe here on the Truthman Company Network channel on YouTube, you'll know that he actually showed up to the first pay-per-view looking like this, but before that, he had no tattoos. He had no tattoos at all, and we were calling him Big Evil. That's the nickname we were calling him, and the commentators were calling him that because when he showed up and he started that feud with John Cena, none of us knew anything about him. We didn't know his name. He wouldn't tell us his name, and so that was the story that we kind of built around, and we came up with the name Hannibal Matsuda. Obviously, Hannibal comes from, the African lineage, and of course Matsuda comes from the legendary Hiro Matsuda. Some of you might know that who trained Hulk Hogan and broke his leg on the first day of training. It's a classic story. And so he's got this thing with the right knee. If some of you have watched the matches that he's had with Shinsuke Nakamura, the matches that he's had with John Cena, and even Sami Zayn, there's an incredible match that he's got in there with Sami Zayn that we've uploaded that he had on SmackDown. He's just got this thing with that right knee, man, and he can destroy that middle torso. It's actually really powerful. And the story goes that Hannibal's father is actually Japanese, and his mother is actually from Tanzania. She's a model, and his father was a Japanese wrestler that was actually trained by Hiro Matsuda. He's actually quite a young man. He's 30 years old, and he is currently the reigning and defending WWE champion over on SmackDown. Check out some of those incredible matches that he has had with Shinsuke Nakamura. And of course, in 2K Universe, he has taken credit for putting Nakamura on the shelf. You're going to hear more about these stories when we do the Chronicle video for Season 2 thus far. But this here is Hannibal Matsuda, and the guy, I'm just really proud of this creation. He's awesome. I really dig it. So we're going to move on to the next character. If I'm not mistaken, that next character is John Ivy. So while this video, or rather the game, is loading on back to the screen, John Ivy is actually an interesting character because the two oldest characters that we have that we're chronicling in 2K Universe now is Zero's Ward and John Ivy. Zero's Ward, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about him when we get to him, but just a little bit of a history. John Ivy actually trained with Zero's Ward, and he also trained with Bishop Bannon. The three of them trained in that same Australian wrestling school, and their careers took pretty different directions, as we can tell. But we're going to go and look at John Ivy right now because this guy is really awesome. He actually is one of the best all-around characters that I've ever created. And one of the reasons why I like him so much is because he can put on an incredible technical match, and if I flip the switch, he has moves in his arsenal that can turn him into an aerialist, and so he can definitely move for a guy that's 6'2", if I'm not mistaken. He's from Arlington, Texas. I think he's about 245 pounds, and he's just incredible. Now, when he's not dressed like this, he's a hardcore biker who has a massive collection of Harley-Davidson motorcycles, and he's just an incredible character. So right now, he just finished a feud with Rob Van Dam. Some of you have watched, and admittedly so. I can even admit this to you. If you watch those matches, kind of trying to find their way, find that niche and that chemistry between those two. And by the time we got to Money in the Bank, which I sincerely hope you're able to go back and watch, that match was incredible. It was pretty cool. It was nice to play. It was very fluid. It felt awesome. So John Ivy is just an incredible character. The way that he is evolved is pretty awesome. And we're actually going to see some type of character evolution for John Ivy in Season 2. So we're not going to wait to Season 3 to do that with him. We're going to see a character evolution for him somewhere down the road. But for right now, the guy is just awesome, and he's kicking ass. So it's really cool. As I said before, he's good friends with Zero's Ward, but the two have agreed to go their separate ways. John Ivy was drafted to SmackDown by yours truly, and of course Zero's Ward took a spot on Monday Night Raw, and it's just been smooth sailing since then. Again, we have not revealed any plans beyond Money in the Bank since we uploaded that pay-per-view to our channel. We hope you enjoyed that show. And if you haven't had a chance to go and watch Money in the Bank, Payback, and of course Extreme Rules, please go back and watch all of those matches. They were awesome, but especially the matches with John Cena and Hannibal Matsuda. They were pretty cool. And of course, right here, John Ivy. He was awesome. He was really awesome. I enjoy playing with this character a great deal. And we're going to move on to the next character. I'm actually showing you pay-per-view attire that's supposed to be a design for the next pay-per-view. So, spoiled the surprise there. As I said, he's from Arlington, Texas, and he's really cool. And I dig the interaction that he has with the fans. And again, finding his niche in the ring and understanding, how to use him and how you want to work with him. It's pretty awesome. So, yeah, that's John Ivy. Yes, he's 6'2" and he's 242. There it is, right there. I haven't counted. I don't know which one we're up to yet. So we covered Bishop Bannon. We covered Bison Youngblood, Matsuda, John Ivy. We have three more characters. Wow, that's a lot of people. We're actually going to talk about this guy right here, Xander Sokolov, and I'm marking out a little bit over here because the first time that I ever thought about making this, this Helsinki powerhouse, the idea was to create, this Olympic athlete that's like super strong, has a bit of a technical ability for a guy his size, for a giant, but nonetheless, on paper it sounds great, right? Like it's just awesome. But then when you have to actually put a face, put a body, it wasn't easy for me. Let me just say that it wasn't easy for me. So I wanted him to be the only creation I ever had that was 7 feet tall. He's 345 pounds, and as you probably can already tell, Xander is from Helsinki, Finland. And the guy is just awesome. I enjoy using him, not because he's a giant, not because he's a powerhouse, but guys like this, with the background that he has, the look, everything, the way the camera cuts to him on his way to the ring, everything about him is just so awesome, and I enjoy it. It creates a really, really awesome show. Again, this character was inspired by wanting to create a super athlete that could wrestle, that could overpower, that could dominate, and he certainly can do just that. So on the back of his tights here, he has the word superior running down the left leg. He's got that monstrous Finland tank on the back of his tights there, and on the front of his right leg it says Helsinki, and he's got that pirate skull on the left knee. Just pretty awesome. And he's got the tattoo of the anchor and the steering wheel to the ship, which I thought was an awesome touch. Now, admittedly, so I must tell you, some of you seasoned fans will use that expression. Some of you seasoned fans might remember a guy back in the day named Ludwig Borga. When he was feuding with The Undertaker, he was also feuding with Tatanka, where he actually broke his ribs. I actually took some inspiration from him as well. And then we got Xander Sokolov. And again, I'm going to plug this right here. If you have not caught up with the matches that this guy has had with The Undertaker and their amazing feud for the last 3 months, go back and look at some of that content. I recommend their match at Extreme Rules. It was amazing. It's very, very hard to say which match is better than the other, but these guys have explosive matches every week on SmackDown, and it pours over into every pay-per-view. So, I'm definitely looking forward to creating more magic with Xander Sokolov, the super heavyweight, the Helsinki powerhouse, and that's Xander. So we're going to move on, as I'm pretty sure that you saw. There's 2 more characters that we're going to talk about before we end this broadcast, and the first of the last 2 is Joseph Ward. Now, Joseph Ward is the younger brother of Zero's Ward. And for those of you who are unaware, Zero's Ward is actually a character that was based on myself when I originally created him many, many years ago. I'm not that old, but many seasons ago on SmackDown versus Raw. I don't remember which one it was, but that was the very first time that I created that character. And we just had a chance to bring him to this platform. So Joseph Ward is the younger brother of Zero's Ward, as you can see. And for those of you, again, I'm going to plug this. For those of you who have been watching and keeping up with the content that we've been uploading on the channel, this guy has had a phenomenal outing. His first feud so far, because again, we're not going to reveal plans after Money in the Bank, but his first feud so far has been with the man they call Sting. And before we even talk about any of that, let me just do the rundown here. Joseph Ward is 6'5". He's 245 pounds, and he and his brother are from Munich, Germany. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Aside from being jacked, the guy can really move. He can wrestle. He is aerial when he needs to be, and he can also chop down a tree. The guy's 6'5" himself. He's not exactly small, but he works really, really well in the ring. I enjoy playing with him. And as I said before, he has just concluded a feud with Sting that I thought was phenomenal. One YouTuber actually sent me a message and told me that it was the best match in a series That's exactly the words that they used. It was the best. It was the best in a match series. So it was awesome. I enjoyed that feud a great deal. So right now, Joseph Ward is the reigning and defending WWE Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, and that's as far as it goes. I can't say anything else, but that's what's going on right now. He is the champion. I'm not going to tell you anything that the footage and the content doesn't already tell you. If you've been following, if you have not been following, or you haven't had the chance to view anything on the Truthman Company Network channel on YouTube, I implore you to go there and take a look at some of that awesome content. Raw, SmackDown, we bring it all to you. We don't edit anything out. When we broadcast live, we broadcast live. You see everything. So Joseph Ward is pretty awesome, and I dig this character a great deal. I really, really do. He's red hot, and I initially did not think I would even have a use for him. I didn't think I would enjoy it, because I was really, really looking to push the man with the story. And those of you who have followed Season 1 on 2K17, my career mode, Zero's Ward, that was the guy with the story. And it turns out that his younger brother is red hot. So we're going to talk a little bit more about possibilities. And in the next video, we're going to talk about the last 3 months in 2K Universe Season 2 with myself as General Manager, and some of the developments that have occurred thus far in the last 3 months. So we're going to move on to the next and last character, as I've already told you, who is Zero's Ward. He is the entire reason that any of this is even happening. And I'm going to tell you a really cool story behind all of this. I was actually one of those gamers who bought WWE 2K games, and I would play exhibition matches and have a lot of fun doing Hell in the Cell, ladder matches, cage matches, and I just had a great time playing the game. Never was I interested in making created characters. Never was I even interested in broadcasting, doing any of this, okay? So my son said to me one day, "You know what, Dad, you should make your own character." And I was like, "You're crazy. No, we're not going to do that." And of course, I got bit by the bug, because it was something that I really, really thought about. And, here we are. Zero's Ward is an actual thing. It's an actual character. So, as I told you before, he's from Munich, Germany. And he's 6'2", 250 pounds. Now, the most notable thing about this character is his face. I've shown him to some friends. I've shown him to family members, and people always ask me, what's wrong with his face? And I always tell people, one of the coolest things that I think you can do whenever you're a creative is to give your character something that has weight and meaning. And for Zero's Ward, aside from the indigenous tattoo on his back, and the really, really dope, cool attire he's wearing, he has some skin removed from the left side of his face. And that was actually the result of an oil burn that he suffered when he went through a flaming table, face first, obviously. And his skin was seared off, and he had a surgery to clean up the debris and the edges of the skin, and he never opted to have his face repaired and grafted. So this is kind of like the battle scar that he wears in his matches. And that's pretty much where that comes from. So like I said before, long time ago on the platform, SmackDown Know Your Role and SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, I created this character. Now, he was under a different name, but this persona that he has taken on, Zero's, is just been like awesome. And back in Munich, Germany, when he used to wrestle under some of those other, the smaller independent promotions, they called him the Omen. And he brought that here to the States, and I picked him up, and now he is one of the biggest stars of the 2K universe since we've been doing this, and since we've been producing that content on our page. I really enjoy working with him, and he has been inspired by 3 major WWE superstars, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Tatanka and Macho Man Randy Savage, and also, as you can pretty much tell, one of his favorite pro wrestlers of all time is Rick the Model Martel, and they just finished having an epic feud. Another feud, my God. If you haven't seen it, you haven't gone back to watch, take a look at some of that stuff. I really enjoyed it myself. Rick Martel and Zero's Ward had an epic feud. It was awesome. I enjoyed playing through it. And folks, that is it. Those are the 6 incredible and talented and diverse characters that are being chronicled this season in WWE 2K Universe by yours truly, General Manager Shawn Truthman. And this is me signing out. And look for that next video where we're going to talk about the developments that have occurred from the very, very first kickoff show to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. A lot of different developments have happened, and we look forward to doing that rundown. And this is Shawn Truthman signing out. Take care, folks. Thanks for watching.